What's up, everybody? It's Keezy. I have a video for you guys. It's a different video than what I usually do. I mean, it's still a reaction video, but it's different from other videos I usually watch. This is from Vice, the Vice channel. If you haven't subscribed to them, go subscribe to them. You will see this on their channel. But I want to watch it with you guys. This is the downfall of WWE's Vince McMahon. Honestly, the thing with Vince is this is a subject that we haven't really talked about on the channel. We haven't really talked about Vince a lot on this channel. We did one video that Vince McMahon's insane. It was a while ago, because Vince is insane. That I don't know what's with Vince, but I'll speak on the subjects as they come up in this video. So I'm just get to that and I'll give my piece. Yeah.
Vince McMahon declined to participate in the documentary you are about to watch.
I bet he did.
Earlier tonight, my father, Vince McMahon, retired from WWE.
With those 9 words, Stephanie McMahon stunned the world of professional wrestling.
I don't think anybody would have ever said that Vince McMahon would have ever stepped down.
I don't think he didn't choose to step down on his own volition. A lot of stuff came out that made him step down. Then he reinstated himself. Then he basically got fired.
Everybody figured that he was going to do this until he died.
Welcome to SmackDown!
Over decades,
I feel like I'm yawning almost every video I did today. I apologize. The fact that he had allegations come out, and then that same day, he appeared on SmackDown. He knew exactly what he was doing. He did that on purpose. He saw that allegations came out, like, you know what? The first 5 minutes of the show, I'm gonna go out there.
Vince McMahon faced financial ruin.
Vince mortgaged every dime that he had.
Battled ruthless competition.
Yeah.
And now WCW is about to dominate the globe in professional.
I mean, they did for 82 or 83 weeks. I mean, he gambled everything in that first WrestleMania. See, if that first WrestleMania didn't do well, who knows what wrestling will look like today? Who knows?
And confronted career-ending scandals.
Speculation is running wild. Did steroids play a role, or is there another explanation?
He can be a tyrant.
The whole thing was an abortive kind of a screw job.
So many scandals.
Oh, of course.
I don't even know if there would be a wrestling business by the time all the investigations were complete.
Often close to being pinned.
He was down many times.
Vince always kicks out.
In every case, he bounced back.
I've never seen anything like that.
Honestly, with all the stuff that's happened in the wrestling business regarding the WWE or then WWE or then WWF, I don't know how somehow Vince always came out. He bounced back somehow every single time. I don't know about this time. This time, look.
These are the 9 lives of Vince McMahon.
First of all, I resent your tone.
I resent your tone, straight.
The origin story of the rich and powerful.
I know this. I know I'm pausing a lot in the beginning, but this is the 9 lives of Vince McMahon. This man, it's probably more than 9 at this point.
Wrestling mogul Vincent McMahon Jr. begins in a poor, run-down North Carolina trailer park where a tough, mouthy, dyslexic kid named Vinnie Lupton is living with his mom.
There was some kind of a falling out in the marriage, and then he and his brother Rod were left to be raised by their mother Vicky. He kind of had a chip on his shoulder from the beginning.
All most people know from this period of Vince's life comes from his 2001 interview with Playboy magazine.
He alludes to his mother sexually assaulting him. He alludes to being molested when he was 6 by other teenage kids.
There's stories of his mother bringing various different men into their lives. There was in particular Leo Lupton, who was officially Vince's stepfather. He apparently was a very abusive man.
And despite that abuse...
So he took his stepdad's last name. That's what I'm guessing. I'm just guessing he took his stepdad's last name.
Or perhaps because of it, Vince develops a ruthlessness that will come to define him.
Vince said that he was upset that Leo Lupton died before he had a chance to kill him, and that he would have really enjoyed being able to do that.
At 12, Vince finally meets his biological father, who happens to be one of wrestling's most successful promoters, Vincent James McMahon, or Vince Sr.
Vincent James McMahon was the most important person in professional wrestling in the northeastern United States.
I wonder how long was he out of his life?
Here's promoter Vince McMahon's wrestling lineup for this arena next week.
Vince becomes like that storybook teenager who runs away from an evil stepfather to join the circus.
You know, there's stories of Vince hanging out with Dr. Jerry Graham, who's this very flamboyant, kind of over-the-top figure in pro wrestling for Vince.
Wrestling is crazy. You see how long wrestling has been around, and you see what it is today? Like, people will have their critiques about wrestling, but to see where it came from to where it is now, the spectacle, but like WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, MLW, so many different wrestling companies are out there. There's so many like wrestling places you can go. Then you got your independent wrestlings, like in your you got your local wrestling in your city. Like, not just the big companies that's worldwide, you got your local wrestling. Like, wrestling is everywhere, which is crazy to think about. That's really crazy to see where it came from, just being in territories to being worldwide.
Ride down the street in his convertible with him while he was lighting cigars, you know, with $100 bills.
But when Vince starts stealing cars for joyrides and getting into fights, Vince Sr. tries sending him away.
Vince went to Fishburne Mill.
He did that for fun. He did it for fun. Why? Like, it's irritating when people do it today. He did this stuff for fun. And there's Dave Meltzer and people who still listen to him. I need y'all to do better. Well, not really y'all. I need him to do better, because he says his opinion, but he states it as it's a fact when it's not a fact. It's his opinion, and people just take his opinion as fact because he states it as a fact. Like, it's just one person's opinion. No one, like, y'all shouldn't care about his star ratings. They're just because, oh, Dave gave it 5 stars. Okay. Cool. Or Dave, he gave his 2.5 stars. Okay. That's his opinion. Like, wrestling is very opinionated. Like, just a person's opinion is not a fact.
Military Academy. Legend has it that he got into a lot of trouble.
He claimed that he was the only student there to ever have been court-martialed. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but the story goes that he was an unruly kid and that the military school kind of really had their hands full with him.
Until his mom finds him a girl, as Vince explains in this 1999 TV interview.
My mom had said, you know, you have to come meet this beautiful blue-eyed girl. She sings in the choir, and she's pretty, and you're really going to like her.
Let's see, I think I was 13 years old, and Vince was
16.
Dare I say that you were older? Yes.
So 13 and 16, they've known each other for a long time. They've known each other for a long time.
16.
Vince and Linda married on August 26th, 1966. After college, Vince goes looking for a job at his dad's Capital Wrestling Corporation. But Vince says his father again turns him away.
Wanted me to have a more secure future, wanted me to be an accountant or an attorney or something like that, and I really wasn't cut out for any of the above.
He's right. Out on his own, Vince stumbles badly.
He had talked about being a salesman, selling paper cups, things that didn't really thrill him, and not doing very well at it.
Said selling paper cups is crazy. Selling paper, I want to talk over the video, but then I want y'all to actually hear what I have to say. The jobs back then were interesting. Very interesting how jobs were back in the day.
Then, for the first of many times, Vince escapes adversity, this time aided by his dad.
They had an announcer named Ray Morgan who was kind of becoming difficult. Vince Sr. hired his son officially as an announcer and also gave him some small towns to promote.
This Monday, a fantastic card of professional wrestling.
Vince, a natural-born huckster, is soon putting those skills to work on all kinds of side hustles.
He was promoting concerts, rock concerts,
and a closed-circuit screening of the infamous bout between Muhammad Ali and Japanese wrestler Antonio Inoki.
Just like I start off fighters, right, fans?
Right, fans? It was so basic, but also great at the same time. Right, fans? Like, it was easy. Well, I won't say it was easy. It wasn't easy. But, like, he had a fan base behind him, like, boxing. Like, this is a boxer against a wrestler. Of course, a wrestler is gonna grapple you. Like, that's what he knows. That's what he knows to do, to grapple. It probably was fun. I'm like being a promoter, like, for someone like Vince, is the best job for him. Like, I mean, it actually goes into, like, his other job as well. Like, his dad wanted him to get, like, accounting, like selling. Like, you're trying to sell this event to people to come. You're selling this event for people to come to buy tickets to actually show up. So, like, I mean, it still works hand in hand, basically.
1974, Vince even gets a chance to work with Evel Knievel, learning tricks from that decade's biggest self-promoter.
Vince was one of the promoters of Evel Knievel, Snake River Canyon Jump.
Vince pays the Daredevil $250,000 for the closed-circuit rights to the jump.
$250,000 is crazy. 250,000 is crazy. I'll be lucky enough to even see that amount.
Knievel's attempt fails spectacularly, and so does Vince. The audience willing to pay for the event turns out to be paltry, and Vince loses the entire $250,000. Just a few years later, he and his wife Linda file for bankruptcy. Yet despite his failed ventures away from wrestling, Vince is still convinced that he can expand his father's business.
He really wanted to bring his dad's wrestling company to the next level.
But not as an employee, as the new owner of the company.
I knew there was just some way I had to get my hands on this company.
June 6, 1982. It's sort of a red letter date in wrestling history. Vince sat down with his father and his father's partners.
He really wanted that company. He really wanted he wanted to go into wrestling. I'll give him that. He really did want the wrestling business. And this is like one of the most iconic pictures from his dad. Like, anytime I see a picture of Vince's dad, it's always this picture. I rarely see people use any other picture. Rarely.
The deal was for $1 million.
Vince mortgaged everything he had, every dime that he had.
And he bought it on a balloon loan. He describes it as you pay a little right now and then you pay a lot later.
And if he missed payments, then the ownership would revert back to the original group.
They knew Vince knew the business, and if he failed, he failed. You know, they would get their money anyway.
The message was, if you can't handle this, if it turns out you blow it, we're taking it back.
But there may have been an even bigger reason why Vince Sr. was finally willing to pass the reins.
So that was the deal, huh? If you mess up, it's gonna come back to us. Either way, we win. If you fail, you miss a payment, it's coming back to us. If you fail, it's coming back to us. So, like, everything was in Vince's court. You don't have a dime right now. It's your job to sell tickets. Your job to sell tickets, put butts in seats. Let's see what you got.
He had pancreatic cancer, and this may have been one of the motivations for him to sell.
Vince Sr. had spent decades as one of the most revered owners in professional wrestling,
The stories that you hear about Vince Sr. don't revolve around ruthlessness or overly competitiveness. Once he had control in the Northeast, he was satisfied to kind of run that territory and do really well with it.
As for Vince Jr., he will not be so easily satisfied.
My dad wouldn't have really sold me the business had he known what I was going to do.
He had a vision.
So basically, he just had to keep it a secret. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I just have to do it. I mean, that's what a lot of things do. Something you just have to do. You can't really say what you're going to do sometimes. As long as it's not illegal.
Take his father's territory in New York and literally make it the biggest wrestling company, not only in the United States, in the world, to make it global.
Vince Jr. was more willing to take it all and be ruthless.
But first, Vince has to take on his father's old friends, the mostly men running the other wrestling.
Why are those ropes so loose? Why are those ropes so loose? Goodness. I bet it's just easy to fall off that ring.
Companies across the country.
Those ropes were.
Every state had a wrestling territory.
Yeah.
New York was the WWF. Oh, there was Memphis, there was Georgia, there was Florida, there was Texas.
There was the sense that everybody
Shut up, Memphis.
would respect each other's territory.
And for the most part, promotions all over the US and Canada coexisted, and it was a really thriving.
The old gimmicks always get me. The old gimmicks get me so much. It's what they used to wear and what got over it gets me.
Industry.
And he thought, why do I have to respect these boundaries? Why can't I just start promoting everywhere?
Because doing so threatens the businesses of Vince Sr.'s fellow wrestling promoters.
You had these promoters now going to Vince Sr., they were his old friends, and saying, you have to talk to your son. He's out of control. Are you?
Which is really crazy to think about. The territories back then, they were territories. You didn't promote in other
aware that he's trying to, run us out of our town?
Everyone knew each other.
So Vince Sr. approached his son at some point saying, Vinny, you can't do this. And eventually Vince Jr. lost his temper at his dad and said, look, I'm going to do this with or without you, Dad. I mean, you work for me now. Are you with me or are you against me?
I mean, he did give him the company. He said, he did say he make money. And that's one way to make money. Promote in other places. Get eyes in other places to watch your product. I mean, is it? It's kind of undertacted to the, like underhanded to the other promotions. Yeah. I mean, but wouldn't y'all do the same thing, especially back in the day, when you don't have anything? They said put butts in seats, make money, and pay this money back.
Vince Sr. kind of took a moment and thought about it and was quiet, and then looked at his son and said, you know what, Vinny, you're right. Those guys.
And he did, by taking from them the thing they needed most.
The talent, they all went for Vince. Your talent's gone, you can't eat. And that was it.
Now, either you get out of the way or you compete against an elephant.
Vince injects some competition into the industry.
I mean, that's a good analogy to have. Either you get out the way or you compete with an elephant. I don't know about y'all, elephants are big. I don't think any of us will win against an elephant.
Paying wrestlers more than they can dream of under the cozy old system. Then he buys time from local TV stations to promote his shows to sell more tickets. That helps generate the cash he needs to begin buying up struggling territories. As his vision of a national wrestling company comes into focus, the master marketer goes looking for someone to inject show business into the wrestling business.
This man is not a television illusion. He is not an artist's conception.
This is Andre?
He is not a figment of the imagination. He is the Hulk.
I thought it was Superstar Billy Graham or Andre the Giant. And honestly, look, you gotta give people a reason to watch, I guess. Also, to this day, I will always say this. Fuck Hulk Hogan.
Making his first appearance in this arena, ladies and gentlemen, Hulk Hogan.
Vince is looking for the superhero. He's going national, but it's not going to work unless he has this larger-than-life person.
Hogan was the guy to choose. He had the great look.
I mean, to this day, if you ask somebody on the street to name a professional wrestler, they're probably still going to name Hulk Hogan.
Vince made Hogan just a perfect offer that he couldn't turn down.
Vince told him, we're going to put the belt on you. You're going to be our #1 guy.
He came in at the beginning of January 1984, and by the end of the month, he was the WWF World Heavyweight Champion.
History being made tonight. Hulk Hogan, WWF Heavyweight Champion.
And really the linchpin to that national expansion. It was Vince and it was Hogan. Neither one of those guys could have done it without the other one.
While Vince is modernizing the wrestling industry,
I feel like he could have chose somebody else other than Hulk Hogan. And if y'all in the comments, I don't care. Fuck Hulk Hogan.
some things in wrestling remain the same. Most territories still practice what's called kayfabe, maintaining the illusion everything's real.
What a move! Karate kick right to the side of the head.
But what's not an illusion is the very real threat to Vince's emerging empire.
Is that pro wrestling fake or real? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People will say, oh, wrestling's fake. Just like every single TV show that you watch. Every single movie that you watch is fake. It's entertainment. Like, shut up. The stuff they do in the ring is real. Like, everyone says it's fake. Go do what they do. Just go to a wrestling ring and actually try to wrestle with somebody else who's a professional wrestler. You gotta be a big name. Go to a local independent wrestling place and do what they do. You can do it. Stop saying it's fake. Stop it. Because people have died wrestling. People have been severely injured, paralyzed while wrestling. Like, relax. It's entertainment, and they put their bodies on the line every single time.
When News Magazine 2020's John Stossel begins investigating kayfabe and whether it's a fraud on wrestling fans.
I was a wrestler in high school, and I was always a little annoyed that some people believed that pro wrestling was real rather than a scripted event where the winner is preordained. And
but even like, obviously today we know about wrestling and it's being predetermined. We already know this. We watch it because it's entertaining.
People dress up in funny clothes and pretend anger and bullshit.
It had leaked out that 2020 was going to do a piece, and obviously if it's ABC Network News, it's going to be an expose. I
just thought it was interesting.
You know what they say is sometimes any publicity is good publicity. Like, not all the time, no. Not all the time.
Saying that this big, growing, successful business was based on bullshit. I mean, cleverly done, athletic bullshit, but lies.
Stossel's story could lead to a significant exodus of disillusioned fans.
I'm sorry for continuing to pause within like 4 minutes of this video, but I think back then they were just telling everyone that yes, it's real. I'm like, motherfucker, like, we can. I mean, I feel like back then I would believe this real too. Like, it's 2024 now. I've been watching wrestling since I was like 3 years old. So I'm kind of, I know.
just as Vince has all his capital committed to building the WWF into a national brand.
We either did a survey or found a survey that about a third of the people who attended the events thought it was real.
This is real.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
We couldn't do a story unless we could find some insider who would say.
I feel like you could do a story, like even without the insider, you probably still could do the story. Because there's always, like people, a lot of people gonna say, oh yeah, it's real. But they're not gonna be that one person. It's always that one person gonna say, I mean, no, it's fake. There's always gonna be that one person. You can still did your story, but also having an inside person. And also, there's still like, to this day, people have inside people. I don't like y'all, because y'all spoil so much stuff that they're just gonna talk about later. All these wrestling journalists spoiling stuff, like, oh, this person's contract is expiring. Why do y'all know the status of people's contracts? There shouldn't be public knowledge at all. People's contracts should not be public knowledge. This person, he's angry at the company. Why did you know this? Like, if y'all didn't have those inside people, y'all wouldn't have views on y'all stuff. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm getting worked up over nothing. This is how I feel about it. I don't like inside people giving details that they don't need to give. Yeah, sometimes there are false details. I understand that. I get that. But stop giving them any type of detail that even could be remotely true. I don't care if it's false or true. Stop giving them any type of details, because they're going to take it and run with it.
Yeah, here's how we fake this and that, and was willing to go into a ring and demonstrate. And eventually we found Eddie Mansfield.
Mansfield is a wrestler with a cause, publicizing the vulnerability of WWF wrestlers who have no health benefits or pensions. He hopes a story on 2020.
They still don't have health benefits. I'm sorry, it's not funny. It's not funny. But at the same time, this is a $1 billion company at this point. Give them some health benefits. Like the actual, not just the people who work in the offices and work backstage and like corporate people, not just them. The actual wrestlers who are under contract, give them health benefits as well. Not just the top stars, all of them. Because anybody can get hurt at any point. Like even just while training, they can get injured. Everyone needs health benefits in all wrestling companies. WWE, AEW, MOW, New Japan, TNA, All Japan, all y'all. Health benefits.
Will raise awareness to the plight of fellow pro wrestlers, so he agrees to spill some secrets.
This real wrestling? No, not real, no, not at all. I mean, if somebody believed that, they'd be stupid.
Nobody wanted fake blood, so everybody bled for real. Right. 2 ways to do that, the easy way and the hard way. The easy way is with a blade.
You go just like that.
And then gradually during the match, it would drip down over your face.
Also, that's super dangerous. If I remember Maven, he's a former wrestler. Go check out his YouTube channel. There's literally just his name, Maven Huffman. You can't really misspell that. It's Huffman. First name is Maven, Maven, Maven Huffman. Go to his channel. He tells you how dangerous it is. There's been like plenty of stories, plenty of pictures of how dangerous blading is. He just did that so easily as well. Wait, so you have no adrenaline right now? Didn't that hurt?
See, if I was sweating, it'd pour.
I thought, well, we need to have the usual person from the professional organization saying, oh, this isn't fake, this is all real. And so we went to Madison Square Garden. I guess Vince McMahon okayed it, or we wouldn't have been there.
Vince wants to send Stossel a message, so he tells wrestler David Schultz to maintain kayfabe and treat Stossel.
Yes, I guess he wanted press there to okay, let them know that this is real, but he took it too far. Like this wrestler, he took it entirely too far.
Like any other opponent.
Vince said, listen, we got a guy out here making a joke out of the business. Vince wanted me to tear his ass up, wanted me to blast him, stay in character.
Vince denies telling Schultz to assault Stossel and disowns any involvement in what happened next.
And then Schultz came out. He was a little frightening.
Is this a good business? Yeah, it's a good business. I wouldn't be in it if it wasn't.
Why is it a good business?
Because only the tough survive. That's the reason you ain't in it. And this punk holding the camera reading he ain't in it. Reading these rednecks out here ain't in it because it's a tough business.
I think this is fake.
I mean, it is a tough business. It was just this part right here, this part that I'm about to show y'all, unnecessary. Like he said, I think it's fake. Hindsight, obviously. Don't us.
I think it's fake. Now I'm thinking Vince wanted me to stay in character. Dr. D slapped hell.
Yeah, stay in character, but
How'd somebody say that?
You think it's fake? What's that? Is that fake?
Holy shit. What the hell just happened here? And then I stupidly got up again.
Huh? What the hell's wrong with you? That's open hand slap, huh?
I was always taught, man, get up. You gotta knock him back down.
You think it's fake? You come like them.
He whacked me the other.
Stay in character, but don't attack people who aren't wrestlers. Unless they attack you first and you're doing this in self-defense. Don't do that. Stay in character, but don't do that. Jeezums.
My ears were ringing.
What do you mean? Fake?
I was stunned and a little scared, and that's why I crawled off. I didn't want to get hit again.
Right?
2 months later, Stossel's report airs. Now it's his turn to slap the wrestling community.
You little pissant, John Stossel. That's what all the wrestlers thought about him.
Then Stossel delivers a second blow, hitting Vince where it can really do some damage.
I thought that McMahon and his group should be taught a lesson that they can't go beating up reporters.
Yeah. Where's LA Knight? We need him. Yeah.
And I sued for damages.
I would have too.
After what became known as the slap heard round the world, Vince fires Schultz to save the WWE from a PR black eye. But it's not enough. In response, Vince delivers what will become his closer, throwing money at the problem. Stossel is bought off for a reported $420,000.
I wanted some compensation for my pain.
And
me personally, there would have been a new owner. There would have been a new owner if that was me.
While Vince also suffers some pain over the allegations his wrestlers are faking it in the ring, that proves fleeting compared to the misery he's suffering over their behavior out in the real world, beginning with WWF star Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
If you don't, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you're probably about to find out in a second.
Jimmy Snuka was Vince's #1 drawing card at the time.
In 1983, Snuka is dating 23-year-old Nancy Argentino.
She ended up dead, and in a hotel room they were sharing in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Vince calls wrestler Don Morocco to find out what happened.
Vince says, "Have you heard anything about Snuka and his girlfriend?" I said,
Not gonna lie to you, I don't know all the details. I just know. I know they had a hotel together, and one person ended up not, breathing. But one person ended up sleeping. I'll say that. And then you're the only one there.
matter of fact, here I am with Lieutenant so-and-so, and I put him on the phone to Vince.
Snuka claims that Nancy fell. Then she went back to their hotel room and went to sleep. But the autopsy report raises doubts about Snuka's explanation.
Do people forget about autopsies? If people lie, And like this happened to this person. Do they just forget about autopsy reports? They can see damages like and bruises that don't add up. Do they forget about this stuff? Because I feel like when certain things that they do have to investigate just in general to make sure there was no foul play.
It says the pattern of her injuries is not consistent with a single simple fall. The magnitude of the injuries may even be suggestive of maid abuse. I believe that the case should be investigated as a homicide until proven otherwise.
Vince McMahon would have great reason to defend Jimmy Snuka. Let's say at the time he is charged with murder in 1983. That would be a terrible thing for the WWF.
If one of your top employees is being investigated for murder, that's bad for business.
Yes.
So Vince rushes to Allentown.
You remember what I said, like all publicity is not good publicity? This is one of those things. That is one of them. All publicity is not good publicity.
After he meets with police, Snuka is released without charges.
Jimmy said to me, Vince came down with his briefcase and said to him, "It's over, don't worry about it, it's done."
He came into the briefcase, came back to him, said, "It's over, it's done, don't worry about it." Now, what would you think happened? What would you think happened if your boss came to you, he just left the police with a briefcase and said, "It's over, don't worry about it. It's done." This is coming from his widow. These are her words. I mean, this is actually what happened.
Unlike all of the other interviews that were done in this case, there is no detailed transcript of what was said over an hour. But after that meeting, the case...
Out of all the interviews, this went over an hour. Why wasn't that one transcribed? All the transcriptions you have, except this one, over an hour. There's no transcription of what happened. Over an hour is over. It's done. Don't worry about it.
effectively went cold.
Vince insists that the meeting was entirely above board, and that local officials told him that the circumstances of Nancy's death were consistent with an accidental fall. But 3 decades later, in 2015, Jimmy Snuka...
Yeah, this happened. This is 2015. They're like... But the autopsy proved that it wasn't accurate. And they're about to get back what happened in 2015.
...is arrested and charged with Nancy Argentino's murder.
He was a legend in the wrestling ring tonight. He's accused of murder.
Years later.
The rules and the regulations and the morals that exist in the real world don't exist in the wrestling bubble. They've got their own way of doing things.
The Jimmy Snuka story is a foreshadow of the string of controversies that will confront Vince, many of his own making.
Because nobody's gonna say no to him. Nobody's gonna say no.
If there is a nuclear conflagration, the shark, the cockroach, and Arnold Schwarzenegger will survive and thrive.
The bigger the star.
So I'm guessing that was the end of part 1 of this video. So they did say it's the 9 lives of Vince McMahon. So I'm guessing they go into more detail with more episodes. If y'all want to see the other episodes, let me know. I will try to get them up for you guys. But this one here, this is just part 1. This is the 9 lives. So I'm guessing it might be 9 parts. I don't know if it's 9 parts or not. It might not be 9 parts. That might go over multiple parts in one episode. Who knows? But if y'all want to see those, let me know. I'm going to see y'all next one. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you want to see next in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Vince McMahon and wrestling in the comments below as well.